Happy New Year, everybody. How's it going? Let's see. New tune. That's a song I wrote called Coastal, and it's a good exercise in being really dynamics aware with your playing, with your left and right hand. Let's see. It's pretty simple as far as the melody is built around chord shapes. So the main head of the song is built over E minor and C. And then as you get into the B section, it pivots between C, B minor, and A. It's your A shape with an open B and E on top. So that's that. And then the C section, I suppose you would call it, you want to make that as liquidy smooth as you can. And it works over C and E minor and D, I think. This song is really, I mean, you can play it with any tonality you want to, but I kind of wrote it pretty sort of ambient, with the memory man kind of chasing the delays and trying to be really subtle with the right hand so you can trigger the effect when you want to use it, but it's always kind of running in the background, you know what I mean? So that's a good way to kick off the year, I thought. You know, you could dig into being really cognizant of what you're doing with your right hand and really treat every note like a consideration, you know. It's a really delicate melody and kind of piece of music. And I've got a version of it that I'm just gonna put out and put up that actually played on a Vondre guitar I had for a while, and I made kind of a background sort of loop to play to. I'll put that up and out somehow, maybe on Spotify or something here soon. Maybe that'll be track 1 of the instrumental record. So there's that. That's called Coastal. So we'll put that up on the board. That's going to be one of the tunes. Another thing I wanted to have a quick rave about today is these Teisco Sharkfin guitars, which I get a lot of questions about when I bust them out. So I just want to go through a couple things about these. They're really cool sounding guitars, but they're very, they need a lot of work right off the bat to make them a usable tool, okay? So let's start at the top. First of all, this one's been refinished by Jeff Sen, and he kind of rebuilt the whole thing. Jeff sold me this guitar maybe, God, I don't know, I've had it for years and years, at least 10, if not 15 years, maybe. It's probably like 12 years ago, and Jeff went through it and he's been through it even a couple more times since. And I've used this a lot, and it's still a bear to use. The tuning kind of drives me crazy on this guitar still. So let's start at the top. The tuners that come on these, even though this has the original ones, are pretty cheap. One thing you can do is replace the inserts on these tuning posts. That seems to help lock this sucker in. That's number one. It is a 0 fret guitar. You could convert it to a nut, and I've thought about doing it, and I may end up doing it. This one has been refretted. You got to refret these. The frets are so low. The original frets are so insanely low that you know, you just can't do much with them if you're buying one that's original. So you got to refret it. You have to pot these pickups. These things are super microphonic, and even after you pot them, I mean, like literally, if I'm tracking live in the same room as the drums, I get so much drums coming through these pickups, it's hilarious. Sometimes that's a really cool sound, but just so you know, these square pole Teisco pickups are fantastic, but they're microphonic as hell. There's that. I've had this one, I had Jeff put a 3-way switch on it, because I kept bumping these original pickup switches, turn the pickups on and off, and I kept knocking them with my hand and turning them off. So I had him put a 3-way switch in, where normally there would be another tone control. It's really not that usable. It does have this solo and rhythm switch, which is a cut switch, which is really useful, and mine's not wired in right now, but that's actually a really brilliant design, because it dumps all the low end and gives you a really like cool, quacky, thin kind of rhythm sound. It's very cool, and it's actually very usable. These tremolos are okay. They're all right. You know, these are cheap guitars. They were built very cheap. The necks are like, honestly, they're like 5 pieces. I only know that because I sanded one down, and I've been working on it that I'm going to rebuild. And so, you know, take that with a grain of sand, because they are mahogany, some version of mahogany, you know, like, I'm not sure where. It's not like they're great old mahogany, but they are mahogany. And they have a sound, and they're cool, but they are a bit of a beast. So just know that going into it. And you probably want to put an adjustable bridge, a good Tune-O-Matic or something on here, because the original bridges are fine, they're okay, but you know, if you really want to make it a usable guitar, you know, you got to put like at least $500 or $600 into these things by the time you do frets and, you know, a bridge and, you know, some work with the tuners and whatever. You know, just know that going into it, because I get a lot of questions, and I see these go for prices that are really too high for how much work they need right off the bat if you're going to make it a tool. And even then, the caveat is the tuning still gets wonky on these things. So you got to know what you're getting in for, you know, when you get into these. I have tried putting these pickups in like different body shapes, and it's just not the same thing. So there's that. You can try it if you want, but part of this whole sound, Teisco sound, is just this whole beast. So there's that. It's a cool bridge pickup though, and it does take drive really well. It's a cool pingy middle sound. so there you go. It's a Teisco. I think the model is the K2-L, or it could be the ET230. Either one of those, if you want to search. Personally, I wouldn't pay more than $500 or $600 tops, because, like I said, you got to do a bunch of shit to them. All right, hope everybody's good. Happy New Year, and we'll see you again tomorrow.